Hey friends, welcome back to the library. I have with me today one of my good friends, Mariah, and I'm super excited to be talking about all things bookish with you. I've been kind of giddy coming on this session. How are
Hi,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So tell me a little bit about how you got started reading.
I think I pretty much have the same story as everybody else, like in the bookish space. Like I started when I was really young, and then I kind of fell off, like in late middle school, high school, and then I picked it back up during COVID. Kind of the same story as
Yeah.
everyone else.
When you picked it back up, was there like one specific book that you saw that you wanted to get back into, or did you have something kind of waiting for you?
It was "It Ends with Us" by Colleen Hoover. That's the one that got me back.
Soho.
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you see she actually made an announcement that she's going to stop writing?
I did see that. I
Honestly,
was
okay.
surprised.
I didn't read through the whole thing, but I knew it was a thing. Like, I already knew that Book Bonanza was not happening after
Hmm.
last year's fiasco. From what I heard, my boss actually went to that. She was like, it was kind of like a logistical nightmare, just
Oh
really
gosh.
busy, and they weren't prepared. Which, I mean, honestly, with the traction that she has and how many books she's written, she's gonna have a massive crowd.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was kind of shocked to see that somebody recapped what they said, and they were basically like, yeah, even though she's getting her movie done for It Ends With Us, she just was pretty much saying because of all the backlash and the things that have been happening between that. And I imagine it's like a culmination of a bunch of things happening.
Right.
They having to put the movie on hold, and then the stop of the coloring book that she wanted to do, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, I just feel like that's a culmination of you've gotten so much backlash and you've had to put one project on, like, do not do, one on pause, and now you're picking it back up. And people are already so like, they either absolutely love you or they don't like you at all. So,
Yeah. And I don't think she's put out a new book since It Starts With Us anyway. So I don't think a lot of us are that surprised because that was what, like 2, 3 years ago now? And everyone was
yeah.
mad about that because they were like, oh, it's a money grab. It wasn't even necessary. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
not
I
that
feel like in
surprised.
all reality that before it was like Verity, right?
I
I'm
think
pretty sure
so.
before that one was Verity. So it's kind of one of those like, Verity was her testing the waters to see how she would do if she tried to branch into another genre, which I
Hmm.
feel like it did pretty well.
I liked Verity.
She was able to release a second version of it with a special cover and an extended epilogue. So, I
Yeah, I
mean, it
heard
couldn't
that
have
one got a
been
movie deal as well. So that'll be cool.
maybe maybe she just decided she wanted to switch into making movies. I mean,
Yeah. Her books are popular enough. I mean, why not?
yeah. I think the only ones that I've read are It Ends With Us, It Starts With Us, which I can actually agree that I felt like it was slightly unnecessary. It was nice to see the rest of it, but I felt like it was kind of rushed.
Hmm.
Like it really
Yeah.
felt like It Ends With Us was really well thought out, and then It Starts With Us was just kind of like, we're going to throw this together last minute because everyone's dying to have it.
I haven't been able to make myself read It Starts With Us yet because everyone says that it's just the same book with a different perspective. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't like. I've read Verity, Layla, It Ends With Us. I've read a few and I can't think of the other ones right now, but I
That's
didn't
all
like
I've read.
Layla. I didn't like Layla. That was another one where she kind of tried to like branch out as like a paranormal thriller. It was not. It
Hmm.
was not very well executed, in my opinion.
Yeah. Um, it because I started with Layla and Verity, I liked those
Mm-hmm.
over. I read It Ends With Us, It Starts With Us, and then Reminders of Him.
Ooh, Reminders of Him.
And
That's another one I read. I love that one.
yes, it was really good. I was actually
Mm-hmm.
really shocked, but because I had started with Layla and Verity, I really like Reminders of Him and the other two. After I read those, I tried to pick up All Your Perfects, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and it fell flat. And I didn't like how disconnected the main female character felt. Um, she just felt like a cement wall, like no emotions whatsoever.
I've heard that about that one actually. I have
And
it
so
on my shelf, and I'm like, oh god. I never really pick
Yeah,
up her books anymore unless I'm like in a super bad slump and I just need something quick and easy to get through. Otherwise, I
yeah.
don't ever find myself reaching for them anyway. So, and then I rate them so well because I'm like, yay, I finished a book. Like, but in reality, like
Hmm.
the more I think about it, I'm like, that was like 3 stars. Like it was okay.
Yeah. See, I have that problem too. I'll like read through it and then I'll read something that's like a similar genre and theme, and it's kind of like the same overlapping idea of the story, and I'm like, that was so much better executed, but I've already rated the other one and I don't want to go back and take away from it because at the
Right.
time that I did read it, it was
Hmm.
great.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am too. Like I don't go back and re-rate books, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, that was way less than I said it was.
Yeah, for sure. So, I know, but for everyone who doesn't, what all book socials do you use? And then which ones do you preference?
I have a Bookstagram, and then I'm in Facebook groups, and that's pretty much it. I'm not brave enough for book talk because I don't like recording video of myself. So,
Yeah,
but that's something I really want to branch into eventually if they don't take TikTok away.
yeah, that's one of those weirds. Do you prefer Booksta or Facebook groups?
I personally like Facebook better just because there's a lot more, like it's a bigger community and there's so many different groups doing different things, whereas on Bookstagram it's kind of all the same sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do
Yep.
like Bookstagram. I've made a lot of really good friends on there. And also like it led to Threads and I love Threads. So,
Yes. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Okay, so I use when I first got onto my Bookstagram, I kind of used it as like just a dump. Like
Hmm.
I I would post whatever, whenever. I ended up in really heavily into like the follow trains and the engagement groups, and I ended up adminning them, and it was a lot of fun, and I gained traction really fast. So like I, I in the first year I hit 3,500 followers,
Wow.
which yeah, I mean, like that's a massive jump from like my
Yeah.
first month. I barely had a couple hundred. By the second month, when I had really gotten into the engagement groups, the follow trains and everything, I hit 35,000 over the next year. I mean,
Hmm.
3,500, not thousand. Oh my gosh.
That would be crazy.
But, um, right. But then once I decided to step back, I was
Hmm.
not like, I still have some connections with some of those people, and like I'm still in some of the group chats that they made. But one of the main people who was making the groups and everything, she just disappeared off the face of the earth. Like I have
Hmm.
no idea what happened to her. Her profile's not up, which I do know that she lost her significant other in a car accident. So
Yeah.
rightfully so, you're going to disengage.
Right.
We at 100, I 100%, understand that.
Yeah, for sure.
But at one point, I had her on Snapchat, and she still had her pages going. And then I ended up in a Discord group and went that way with my socials,
Hmm.
and chatting with people. And then one day, her Snapchat group was just gone.
Oh,
Her page,
that's
yeah, her page was. So I have no idea, no way to check on her, and I feel so bad because I'm like, I really like I had a really great connection, but
yeah.
all
Well,
that
hopefully
to
she's okay.
say, yeah,
Yeah.
I send all those positive vibes and prayers and things her way,
Hmm.
just hoping that she's okay. But all that to say, now I'm just over 2.5 years in, and I've deleted most of my what I used to have, that which is
Hmm.
like a really weird eclectic, which is definitely my personality anyways, like extremely eclectic. Um my room is very eclectic as well, but now I do like I have like a theme going. Like, so if you check out my Instagram page, it's like
Hmm.
I'll have three in a row of a Kindle, like my arm, all of it is my personal arm and my
Hmm.
actual library in my room. But I'll have like a stack of books, like three pictures of a stack of books, my arm holding them, and then three pictures of my arm holding like single paperback and 3 pictures of my arm holding my Kindle with a cover, and I just do 333 all the way up. So like if I haven't hit my third, it doesn't quite line up, but when I hit my third post, it lines up and it looks really nice and pleasing to the eye.
Yeah,
And you
your
get an
channel
idea
is
of
so
like,
cute. I've seen it. It's so cute.
I love it because I can post just about anything. Like I have a Facebook page too, and that's where I do a lot of like promo posts. So like if somebody's coming out with something, or if they're sharing something when on sale, if they're sharing work in progress, or that's what I use my Facebook for. My Facebook, I have an actual page that's called Natalie's Book Blog, and then I have my group. And I let anybody go free in there. I'm like, you need to post what you want. I mean, since we want to know all the things. But I loved that they created the threads because I'm able to go in and like have like an unfiltered conversation with anyone about almost anything. And it's like a tamer version of Twitter, which if anybody doesn't know, there is a side of Twitter that is for books and authors, and we do exist. We are small, but we are strong.
Oh, I might need to go find that.
It's there. It's just one of those, like, you have to really find the hashtags are huge in Twitter. So it's hashtag book TWT for book tweet. And so that's when, once you finally start seeing those, people will be like, I'm looking for mutuals to follow, and they'll give their thing, just like went popular on Threads for a little while.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. I had no idea. I never even use Twitter anymore. So I don't know.
Twitter is, I'm just going to be honest, after Elon took over Twitter, it's just wild. So I am very, very careful. I have a couple different profiles, and I have this for most of my platforms. I have my personal and then my book stuff. But even on my book profile for Twitter, it's very, very common for me to open up and see completely unrelated and almost porn.
Oh, okay.
on my page, and I'm just like, all right, this is what we're doing. I guess I'm not looking at any of that. I'm only following people who are posting about books, but it's there.
Wow. Yeah, I would.
It's very easy to find something like very offhand in Twitter. You just scroll a couple ways down, and it's.
I think the last thing I posted on there was something about how I was always going to dead name Twitter because it's like X now, and I was like, I will always call it Twitter, but I don't think I've posted anything since then. So
I wouldn't do that to a person. To clarify,
no,
I would not do that to a person.
Same.
But with a social media platform, that will forever be Twitter.
It is Twitter.
Forever.
I don't think anybody calls it X. I've never heard anybody call it X.
Well, I can say the employees do, because for my day job, we have social media managers, and they were trying to get in contact with ours, and they were like, I'm from X, formerly known as Twitter, and I was like, you'll actually say that?
But they still have to say formerly known as Twitter because nobody calls it that. That's so funny.
Like, that right there should tell you that your rebranding did not really work.
Yeah, they need to make it Twitter again. Make Twitter great again.
Right, and what happened to Tumblr?
Oh, I miss Tumblr so much. I don't even know what happened to it. It like just fell off. I don't even know. Or like Vine. I miss Vine every day.
Vine became Musical.ly, and Musical.ly became TikTok.
Yeah. Vine was so good though. Because almost everything on there was hilarious. So
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So what's your most recent read? Like,
oh gosh. What is my most recent read? Right now I'm reading The Last Word by Taylor Adams, and I'm really liking it. Before that, oh my gosh, I'm like, I just read a book like a week ago. I don't even remember. Oh, it was it Reckless, or was that last name? Hold on, let me check. Like, let me check my book log thing.
What book log do you use? QSN.
Huh?
What book log do you use?
Goodreads. But also
Goodreads?
I use those little like template things that I like
Mm-hmm.
just keep in my pictures. So my last one was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I remember now because I was obsessed.
Ooh, I've heard some good things about those. That one.
Yeah. It started off really slow. I wasn't sure I was going to like it, but once I hit like halfway, I was like, okay. And I like that it's not really spicy. Like
Okay.
it's spicy, but it's not like super spicy, which sometimes is refreshing. So,
Yeah. I was just talking to someone the other day about how it is nice every once in a while to pick up a closed door romance because
mhm.
you get a different level of intimacy, and it's very important to have that sometimes. It is
Yeah.
100% like a palette. For those of us who actually do intentionally pick up the super spicy, smutty
Mhm.
stuff, that palette cleanser is really nice because as much as I can read dark stuff day in and day out,
Mhm.
my brain hits a limit.
Yeah. And it kind of just becomes redundant after a while, so it's nice to
Hmm.
just read about a cute little romance story every once in a while.
Hallmark. Mm, because I will watch. I mean, do you know how
I
many
love a rom
people
com.
what? Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna be honest. If anyone is looking for a like holiday rom com, let me just. It's spicy.
Mm.
Okay. Spicy holiday rom com. I gotta find it because I literally just audiobooked it not too long ago.
Hmm.
First of all, narration was on point. Was so good.
I need to read an audiobook. I've never done that.
Okay, so I have an hour drive to work
Hmm.
one way. So audiobooks are my life for the most part.
I could see
Now I
that.
read fast. I read
Yeah.
fast anyways, so
Mhm.
it's really easy for me to put it on in my drive. Um, get a good percentage of the way through when I get to work, and then I can put it down and pick up my Kindle or paperback and just zoom. Like if
Right.
I'm actually in a reading mood. But my recommendation is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy. It's very
Actually,
good.
I think I have that on my Kindle. It's
Julie
so
Murphy and Sierra Simone.
phone. Yep. Yeah, I do have that on my Kindle. I will probably be reading that in July because I like last year I found myself doing like a Christmas in July thing and it was so fun. So I kind of want to do it again this year. We'll see.
So yes, Christmas in July is one of my favorites, honestly. Um, it's nice because when you get into Christmas season, it can be a lot because people are
Hmm.
just like Christmas, 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 like in your face with it.
Right.
And so much so that I get demand avoidance. And somebody listening to all of these episodes is probably going to get really tired of me saying demand avoidance, but I have it. Okay. So if you're telling me I need to read it, like poor Angie told me almost 6 months ago, she was like, oh my gosh, Your Love Doesn't Hurt. You need to read it. I didn't read it until last month.
Yeah, that's I get like that too. Like everyone's been telling me for like probably 2 years to get into Boys of Tommen, and I'm just like I read one chapter of Binding 13 like yesterday. So we'll see. I don't know, but I do the same
Somebody
thing.
just somebody just recommended that to me earlier today. And I was like, I don't know that I've heard of this. I
Yeah,
have.
yeah, I know. I'm terrified of it though. I'm like, that's such a big series. Like,
Yes. Okay, no joke. Throne of Glass is not nearly as long as The Boys of Tommen, but oh my god, it is daunting.
yeah, that's not as long as Boys of Tommen.
Um,
Boys of Tommen's only like 5 right now, I think. I hope because I just bought the
is it
rest of it.
really?
Yeah, I
Am
think
I
the
looking at
fifth
this?
one just
Let
came
me
out.
let me see what she sent me. Oh no, it's a different series. Now I sound dumb. Newsflash, wrong series. The series she sent me was Black Dagger Brotherhood.
I don't think I've heard of that.
Siri decided he wanted to pop in. So it's Black Dagger Brotherhood, and it's, let me see, 5, 6, 7, 13. And then they have a legacy series. There are three of that you read in between 13 and you read 13 Legacy number 1, Black Dagger 14, Legacy number 2, Black Dagger 15, Legacy number 3, and then Black Dagger 16, 17, 18, Legacy number 4, Black Dagger 19 and 20, and then another series intertwining called Prison Camp number 1. Black Dagger 21, 22, another one called Wolven, Prison Camp number 2, Black Dagger 23, Prison Camp number 3, Wolven number 2, Black Dagger 24.
Oh no, that would take me years. Like, I read really fast, but I could never read one book in a series immediately after the other, so that would take me forever to get through. That's terrifying. It's like a universe more than a series. It's wild.
Right, okay, yes. SJM is 15 strong in her universe. And I have a demand avoidance massively with it because I read all of ACOTAR and I was like, okay, we're going to power through. I don't want to start Throne of Glass until I have all of them. And I got all of them and Crescent Cities at the same time and then never picked them up.
Yeah. I haven't read ACOTAR, so I'm way behind on the whole SJM thing, but or like another one that I really want to start, but I'm terrified of, is the Addicted Calloway series by Krista and Becky Ritchie, because that's like 10 books, and oh my gosh, it's so daunting to me.
I'm just like, how do you, like, overall, how do you manage a series that is that many books? Like, SJM and people that have, 5 or 6, and maybe they make connections like in the third series when you get further into like universe building. But to have like that's 30 books.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. There's no way. It sounds really interesting though. But
I'm telling you, if I put my mind to it, I probably could finish it in 6 months. But let's just be honest, probably not going to happen. I don't even know that I'm going to pick up the first one.
And can every book in a 30-book series really be that good, or is it just going to start repeating itself? Like, how do you keep a story going for that long?
And how many side characters are we giving a story? Because at some point, not every side character needs his own story.
Right.
Newsflash. I'm sorry if somebody disagrees with me, but I really like...
No, it's so true. Like, if they didn't play a big enough part in the first, 2 or 3 books, why do I care about them by book, 25?
Yeah. Yeah, and some of these, there are a couple novellas in here, but it looks like each one of these is, a different couple or throuple.
It could be fun, but it's a challenge, especially how do you stay in the story? Because I skip, I'll read something else between books in a series, so I don't get bored and burn myself out on it. So I'm how would I keep track of all 30 of those books while reading other books? Because I can't read them all back to back, or I will lose interest.
So I thought the same thing, but when I started ACOTAR as part of a monthly buddy read for some of my friends that I met through Instagram, and I finished it, and then immediately, I didn't have any of the rest of them. So, the next time I got paid, I immediately went and bought the book set, the book box. So I had 2 copies of a Court of Thorns and Roses. For some reason, I tried to say a Court of Throne of Glass, but whatever. I had 2 copies of A Court of Thorns and Roses, and all I did was take the never read copy out of the book and out of the box. Jesus, I cannot speak today. Took A Court of Thorn and Roses that I hadn't read out of the box, put in the copy that I did read in the box because I had a couple of trying to be nice, and then sold that copy on
Right.
Panda Books. And then turn around and picked up, I think Wings and Ruin is next.
I think it's Mist and Fury, actually.
I don't know. I picked up one of those and proceeded to read the next 4 in 3 days.
Those are thick books. That is impressive. Like, that last one terrifies me. It's such a long book. Oh my gosh.
Like,
and you read them all in 3 days?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like, I would... well, and it was last year summertime. So for my job, we're not super busy during the summertime. I have a lot of free time. So it was very easy for me to be sitting at work for 7 hours out of my day and just fly through a 600-page book.
Right.
So like I easily read 150 plus words a minute.
Wow. I read pretty fast, but not that fast. That's crazy.
I mean, that's kind of almost the time frame you would need in order to read those in that amount of time.
Yeah. Especially like stopping to, eat and sleep and exist.
Like, I would read a massive chunk during the day and then come home, cook dinner, have a conversation with my husband, and he would go get in the shower and I would pick up my book and start reading. And it was nothing. I didn't even read very late. I would read for maybe 30 minutes to an hour and then go to bed and then get up and go to work and read again.
See, maybe I just haven't found the series that makes me want to do that yet. Maybe we'll get there. I hope.
Well, I read 295 books last year, and I got sick the last two weeks of the year. I around December 18th, 17th, 18th, so maybe 3 weeks, I came down with the flu and had no idea. And at that time, the flu was hitting everybody, and it was nothing to be down with the flu for a month. Well, I had no idea, and I went on a family trip to Tennessee outside of my home state, and it was me, my mother, my 2 siblings, my grandmother, my uncle, my aunt, and their 3 kids. Okay?
Oh gosh.
My uncle had been sick. My uncle had been sick around the same time. They drove in from Kansas to Nashville, and it was my uncle, my aunt, and one of his kids. He was sick with something else, but he's had some other health issues going on. He's had cancer and all of those things, but we had no idea that I had the flu because I thought it was just allergies. I mean, it was kind of that time for me. I typically get sinus infections once every 6 months or so. I have extremely sensitive sinuses. Like, it's nothing for me to miss a day of medicine and be messed up for a week.
I'm like that too. Yeah.
So I have to take both Claritin and Zyrtec and Flonase in order to keep my allergies from being like I'm sneezing every 30 seconds. Like it is serious.
You are way worse off than I am.
So we went from Texas altitude to Tennessee altitude up in the mountains around Gatlinburg area. And it made everything worse. I had no idea I had the flu. I immediately got there and started taking cold medicine. And I got there Monday night. By Wednesday morning, my grandmother came down with a fever, and we had no idea because I had been suppressing everything with cold medicine.
Right.
And I felt so bad because she was running like a low-grade fever. And I was texting my husband and I was like, I feel so bad. I know I got her sick. Like, there's no way I didn't get her sick. I haven't
Right.
been running a fever, and I don't know if it's just the medicine or if it's because, like, my immune system's not as compromised because my grandmother has also been through cancer and she
Mm-hmm.
has rheumatoid arthritis. So it was just like one of those, her immune system is extremely fragile sometimes.
Right.
And like the guilt was just eating at me by the time we got to Friday night and we were getting ready to pack up and leave the next morning. My grandmother had, I mean, still in the heat of a like low grade fever.
Mm-hmm.
My sister started feeling like crap. And on the way
Oh
home,
man.
my sister got it while she was in the back
Oh,
seat of my car, and I'm driving felony speeds down the interstate trying to get back home. And I went to the doctor a couple days after Christmas because we got home around the 22nd, the 23rd.
mm-hmm.
And it was too late for me to go to the doctor because, like, I didn't actually make the, I was like, I'm going to get home. I'm going to get off meds and see how I'm doing because I don't feel as bad now that I'm out of the altitude. And I'm going to see if that was part of the problem. And then by the time I figured out it wasn't part of it, wasn't, and that I was still legitimately sick, it was
Mm-hmm.
late Christmas Eve night. And I was like, I can't go to the doctor until the 26th. Got to the doctor, took a test, and they were like, you've got the flu.
Oh
Was on
man.
Tamiflu for the next week. And then I proceeded to call all of my family and was like, I am so very sorry. So yeah, it was crazy. But old. I did have the flu. I ended up giving it to my sister and my grandmother and my mother and my brother.
Wow.
Luckily, my stepdad and my aunt and uncle and their kids did not get it. But yeah, I had
That's, I mean, that's
all
almost a
of
book a
that to
day. That's
say.
pretty
I
good.
had a feeling that if I hadn't gotten sick, I probably would have gotten close to 350 ish.
Mm.
Yeah. And I didn't actually end up feeling better until after the end of the first full week of January.
That's the flu on Christmas. What a bummer.
Yeah, it was crazy. My Christmas wasn't bad. It was just, that was one of those like, and a follow up after January, I was like, I then hit a slump. Like, who ever gotten into this slump to where like nothing you see, no quotes, no dedications, no, you know, paragraphs about a book, nothing makes
Nope.
you interested.
I have gotten into one of those before. I'll just sit there and watch book talk
It
instead of picking up a book. I'm just like, oh, this is good.
is. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's been that way since because we're almost to June
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't picked up, like, when we're recording this, we're almost to June. I don't know when it's going to go out. I'm sorry, people. Um, I'm maybe 60 in for the year.
I mean, I'm only 20 in for the year, so 60 is pretty good.
And I'm like, I keep telling myself, like, you're doing good. You're
Mm-hmm.
accomplishing things. You're still knocking out your TBR.
Yeah.
You know, even if you only read 20 for the year, that is okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're still reading, you're still enjoying it, all of the things. But personally, my brain, I have little peoples in my brains that are like, you're not doing as good, or you suck because you're not reading as
Yep.
much, or so many little things in my brain going on.
It's,
So I have
yeah,
like this.
we're for sure conditioned by like social media to be like, we have to read this many or we're not a real reader. Like, yeah, I had to set my
Yeah.
goal pretty small because full-time job, full-time college student. Like, I had to
Mm-hmm.
make it realistic or I was gonna like bum myself out. So my whole goal for the year is I
Yeah.
think 52. I was like, I can do one a week, and I'm like two ahead maybe, but
Hey,
I had to be
look at
realistic.
you go. Yeah. And that's kind of, I was talking again to Angie
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the year, and I was like, I want I really got caught up last year. Part of the reason I hit so much is because I got caught up in reading a bunch of arcs
Yep.
and trying to be on everyone's team because I enjoyed them so much, and people were releasing at the same time. So I was like trying to cram all of these books in. And then on top of that, reading things that are being recommended to me by friends and things that I'm seeing on Book Talk that I really enjoy, like wanted to pick up and see how they got to the quote.
Right.
And I told her, I was like, I am scaling back. Like at that point, I was ready to jump off of an admin team for a group. And I did. Excuse me. I jumped off of a team for a group, and I was like, I'm going to scale back my goal. Like, it took me well through the end of January to figure out, or not even January, past the end of January to figure out what my goal for the year was going to be. And I told myself, I was like, you know what? You can easily read 100 books in a year.
Right.
That's where we started. That's where we're going to go, because I started in 2022 and I only started actually tracking what I was reading at the end of June in 2022. And June through the end of the year, I read like 110 or something. So I was like, I know that that is easily accomplishable for me because when I get in that reading mood, I can't put anything down. Like, it is literally one after the other. Like, I'm finishing in them and then pulling the next one up on my Kindle and just going.
I love that mood.
And so that just eating everything up. Like, if I can get back there.
I'm hoping to be able to do that this summer since I'm not working and going to school. I'm hoping.
Yeah. And I wish that on everyone too. Like, just that feeling of not feeling like you can take a break. Like, I just need the next, like a fiend.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to.
Yeah. You're like a book fiend. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And you know what? A lot of us like to call ourselves bookworms, but I will happily say that I am a book dragon and I hoard.
I also hoard. I have a ridiculous amount of books.
Wear it. I wear it with pride, okay? Let me tell you what, my Kindle is 2,000 strong.
Same.
My in-person library is 300 plus strong currently. I don't have room for anything else, but I'm just like, I know.
Yeah, my physical TBR is like over 500 at this point. It's ridiculous. And my Kindle's at about 2,000. And I keep requesting ARCs because I'm crazy, and then I don't read them, so my NetGalley score is like so low. But I don't know. It's because I get in those moods, like you were saying, where I want to read everything, and then I like slump myself out. So I just, And I never learn. I keep doing it.
Oh no, I'll never learn. Not at all. And I don't necessarily think that that being in that mood directly affected my slump, like pushed me into the slump. I do think it had a lot to do with me being sick and needing a bunch of rest. But at the same time, now that I'm where I am currently, and I'm not necessarily like in a fiend, but not also in a slump neither. Like, I've got so many other moving parts going on in my life. Work is not as slow as I thought it was going to be for the summer season. And I have this podcast now. This podcast is my baby. And so I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I need to, my goal was to make sure that I'm actually retaining what I'm reading and enjoying it, giving myself the time to enjoy it. And then, actually enjoying other things that are going on in my life, because I did find I had to have a couple come to Jesus moments with my husband, and he was like, sometimes you're not here. Like, you're physically here, but you're not here. And I need you to be here because it is causing other things to roll.
Right.
And so then I was like, as much as it was fun and I know I could, like, it's also very much like I want to be able to sit down with a book and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And actually feel like I didn't rush through it. Now, obviously, if I'm enjoying it enough to be rushing through it because I want to see what's on the next page, then
Right.
That's a little bit different than just trying to get it read.
Yeah. It starts
Which
to
is
feel
where I
like a
ended up.
job eventually, and it just takes all the fun right out of it.
Yeah. And I don't ever want like, oh, that burnout is hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like even now, I read Things We Got Over last. Or no, I read Things We Got Over, and then I went directly into the J. Rose series, Saber Security. It's a trilogy.
Ooh, okay.
I actually found her at Reader State Denver, and I just happened to walk by, and the cover caught my eye on her table. I bought it on the spot. So it's a omnibus. She put all three in one book, so it's a thick baby, and that one, I took my time. It took me a couple of days to read, and I can honestly say after reading it, I went to pick up the second book and knock them out. The Things We Hid.
Things We Hide from the Light.
I think. Yes, Things We Hide from the Light. I got a few pages in and just couldn't.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not there for me right now. It's just not happening. It's been in my purse for like 2 weeks.
It's a really good book, though. I love that one.
And I love Nash. Like, I really do. And I'm excited. Like, I know I want to read Nash's story before I go and read Lucy's story for the Things We Never Got Over. And I found myself now when I get recommendation for anyone who does get into this mood where a full-length novel is just not catching your attention, release some of the pressure from you and go read some novellas.
Or like for me, I'll just read a real quick little thriller. Thrillers always do it for me too. And then I'm like right back at my crazy thick.
Go into your comfort zone.
Yep.
Yeah. Go into your comfort zone and find a 300, 200 page or less story and just casually read it, and you'll find yourself looking for another one.
Yep.
And then that's when you kind of get that ball back on the roll. I've had to do that a couple times this year. And I keep novellas on hand. I always have at least 100 novellas. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, what it is, if it's spicy, not spicy, thriller, whatever genre.
Right.
Like, even if it's a prequel for a series.
Yeah.
Anything will work.
Or like, I highly recommend reading like the first one in the Mind F series, because then you're going to want to keep going with it. Like, I finished that it's 5 novellas in that series. I finished it in like a day and a half. Yes. Oh, I'm so jealous that you have the physical copy first off. Goals.
I have the physical copy, and it's all of them in one. And you know what? I'm just going to be honest. I really love that the author chose a pen name that reads Stabby.
I know. I'm kind of sad that she died.
So sad that she's gone.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm kind of sad that she died.
We both went there.
That's horrible. But I feel like she could have, like,
so horrible.
She would have written so many more, like, bangers, because that book is just so good. I've never heard a single bad review of that series. Never.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you know what? I still have not been able to get into the Things We Never Got, or the Things We Hide from the Light. So I'm going to read this next.
Yep. It's the perfect.
I'm just going to set that to the side right here on my hip. Yeah, I'm going to let that be my palate cleanser. All right, so we know that you prefer Facebook, and we know that you've kind of been reading all your life. You said you're a thriller girly? Is that like your go-to comfort genre?
Thrillers and romance, yeah. Mostly romance, but I really, really like thrillers too. I've never read a fantasy book.
Is it a specific like sub? Oh, okay. Yeah. Is it there like a specific subgenre of romance that really pulls you in? Is it the rom-com, or?
I am a small town romance girly. Or I also like Single Dad. Like Heartless by Elsie Silver is like crack. That is like my favorite book ever. I would read 1,000,000 of those.
Let me tell you what, when I first got started with my Kindle reading, and I for a while there when I first started reading, I didn't know that KU and Kindle was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been into reading it for years. It was the end of 2022. I just went into Books A Million and was like, I want these. And my husband got them for me for Christmas. But, shout out to the hubby. He's always buying me books, but.
Love that for you.
After I did, I found Melanie Harlow, who is that small town, cozy, Christmassy romance. There are some single dads, and I
still have not read a Melanie Harlow book.
I read almost everything in her backlog.
That's crazy. She has so many books.
Yeah, I read almost everything in her backlog. I was just eating them up. Yeah, so then I found Elsie.
Yep, Elsie is probably my favorite author. I have one book left in the Chestnut Spring series, and I've been putting it off for months because I don't want it to end. But then I'm like, I need to get into her new series though. So I don't know.
So I found Elsie, but I haven't actually read it yet.
Which one?
Plot twist. I found Elsie in the Chestnut Springs. I just blanked. I have them. I have them all in print too, and I have the out of print covers with the people on them.
Stop.
But
you just got on someone's
do you want to see them?
Yes.
I gotta reach.
You need to read them immediately. I adore that series. That's so crazy. You're gonna be on like someone's Rob list now. See, I don't even like people covers, but I love those. That's the best one in the series, in my humble opinion.
Powerless.
Mm-hmm.
So when she announced,
that one's cute.
The day that she announced that she was pulling these off the shelves and that you only had like maybe a few days left to order, I think it was around the time that she released Hopeless.
Yeah.
And she was like, you'll only have a few days to pick up the first 3, and then you'll have like I think a couple months to pick up the last 2.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I've had these in my cart forever. Purchase now. That's how I ended up with all 5 of them, because I was like, you know what? Yeah. We're not waiting.
I keep doing that with her first series too, because that's about to be traditionally published. Her Gold Rush Ranch series. Gold Rush Ranch.
Yay!
I have not read that series yet, but I'm like, it's Elsie Silver. I'm going to eat it up, but I need to have the physical copy of it. And she keeps, like, she's pulling those soon too, and I don't know. I can't make myself do it for some reason, but I'm going to be so mad at myself if I don't. For some reason. Like, every time I go to press, like, check out, I stop myself. Probably because, like, $80 on books is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
When I could read them on Kindle Unlimited.
It is.
But I don't know. I feel like I need my own little Elsie shrine because I love her.
Yeah, that's also just like, I bought this duet right here. I saw it on Book Talk. If I ever have a gift card, I have a program on my phone that's called Fetch, where you get points for things you scan off your receipts. So I build up points really fast. So I scan anything my husband gets. He's a trucker, so he stops to get food at gas stations and stuff all the time. So I had a gift card. That's how I got the Elsie Silver. I had a like a $20 gift card, so I paid the rest out of pocket. And then I had another I've had 3 or 4 different times where I've gone on a splurge because of those. One of them was when I found these Neil Latchman white cover. It's called Broken Toys, and I'm broken too, but they're black pages.
Oh, see, I would buy that. I don't even know what the book's about. I don't care. It has black pages.
I had no idea what the duet was about. I had no idea who Neil Lachman was. Nothing. But I was like, that's pretty.
Yeah, we love a pretty book.
Add to cart.
Yep.
Yep. And after reading the back, I did learn that it is in fact something that I would like to read. But
yeah, that's good.
Most of the time I don't read the back, so. But yeah, I am actually have another gift card coming in the next couple days, and I'm like, what am I purchasing? Like I'm trying to get my cart ready.
Yeah.
I can't decide. I have some, I can't decide. I'm going to tell you what I've got in my cart so you can help me pick it out so Lauren Blakely has My Hockey Romance series, and it's Puck Yes, or no, it's Double Pucked, Puck Yes, Thoroughly Pucked, and then Well and Truly Pucked. And they're all hockey romance, and they're white shoes.
I think I've heard about these.
So I have those, or I could purchase some of the backlog of in Owen's works, everything that I've already read.
That's so hard.
And I'm like, I love Lauren Blakely, and these are amazing books. But like, I'm an alpha reader for N. Owen. I'm one of her alpha readers. So I'm like, I want to go in and purchase the physical copies.
Yeah, I've done that too. Little shelf trophies, even though I've already read them. I don't know, because that Lauren Blakely series, I've heard really good things about that.
So I actually read I read Puck Yes, which is the second book. I read it first as an ARC read because I had a physical copy of Double Pucked. I just never got my stitches are falling.
They're so cute.
Thank you. I just never actually got around to reading Double Pucked.
Right.
So I know who it is in the story because they're interconnected, but yeah, I never got around to reading them and ended up reading the other one, and now I was like, well, I want to read the rest of them, so like I could just go ahead and get those. But I don't know if these are...
Oh, they're on Kindle Unlimited. Oh, I have the first one in that series? Really? Totally Pucked, I think. Is that the first one?
They are, or they're not?
Yeah, okay, well.
You said they are on Kindle Unlimited?
Yes. Ooh. And I apparently already purchased the first one. I must have blacked out and did that because I have no recollection of that. But I have 2,000 books, so.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. I get those free book emails and stuff, and then I always do the Stuff Your Kindle, and I'm like, yeah. Oh my gosh. So I have an insurmountable amount of books. I'm a
sucker for Stuff Your Kindle.
I love Stuff Your Kindle. And then there's this page I follow on Facebook. She does a mini Stuff Your Kindle every Tuesday. I'm obsessed.
Oh, I have I was part of somebody's Facebook group, and there was a woman in the group who was like, I personally go through Amazon Kindle books every day or every other day and add all of the ones that are free to buy, that just randomly go free to buy, to a Amazon list. So your girl went in and followed the link and saved it under her Amazon profile, and I just randomly, on any days that I feel like I need to go on a buying spree, I'll go in and open it and go through the free to buy list.
Okay, well, first of all, send me that link.
I shall.
No, but I know I don't need any more Kindle books, but am I still going to get them? Yes, 100%. They're free, and it gives me that little serotonin boost when I need a book. I don't want to spend money on one.
For sure. Yeah. So we were talking about Coho earlier, and we were talking about how Layla and Verity don't fall into her normal genre, which is romance, and she even considers herself a romance author. Like underneath her name, it usually says romance author.
Yeah.
So if you were to organize, and I don't know if you do already, but if you were to say have everything in her collection, including those two, and you were to organize your shelves according to genre, would you put Layla and Verity with the rest of the Coho books, even though the main portion of their plot is not romance?
I mean, they still have a romance subplot though. So probably, because I don't know. I organize my shelves by author. I can't stand to separate author's book. Like I can't.
Gotcha.
I don't know how people
Yeah.
do like color and then have their series separated. I could never. I could never. But I think I would keep it with romance probably because that's still like a big part of it. Like it's still mostly romance. So
yeah. I've had to ask a couple of different people, and I even asked, I did an interview with N. Owens, and I asked her, I was like, from the author side, like, what does it look like when you're going through and trying to figure out like what genres you're going to put your book underneath if you have all these different categories? Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, they don't give you a whole lot of options, but it has a lot to do with like, you don't want to necessarily, like if you are not, if you're not already well known, like for example, H.D. Carlton, and you're trying to write a dark romance, but it's actually like a paranormal romance. She was like, you don't want to choose a super broad category because you may not do as well because there are so many dark romances out there.
Right.
So if you can narrow it down some, it gives you a better chance of hitting the top of that list or getting more exposure because there aren't as many underneath maybe paranormal romance or dark paranormal, you know, that
or
kind
like
of thing.
Romantic suspense or whatever.
Yeah. And I had to think about that, and I was like, how many of the books on my shelf do I just generically categorize as, oh, that's a dark romance, or oh, that's a rom-com, or oh, that's a, you know, that's just a romance. Whereas it could be like it's a small town romance, or it's a small town's, you know, romantic suspense, because I read Daphne Elliott. She's amazing. She's one of my auto buys, and she writes their romance, like small town romance, but there is an underlying suspense plot to the entire series, and over the course of several series they connect. Like she's
kind of
working
like
her
Deadly
way
Perry kind of thing.
into
With her, like,
she's working her way into
and,
the next family of that town, and the underlying theme of that first series carries for the plot.
Oh, that sounds really interesting, though. I would read that.
It is. It's great. You should read it. It is Would You Be Mine, Would You Rather, Would You Marry Me, and Wood Riddance. And they're all lumberjacks.
Ooh, that's new. I haven't scratched the surface of a lumberjack romance yet. That could be fun.
I mean, shirtless with shirtless while chopping wood.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down.
And I'm part of her hype team, so like every once in a while she's sending videos of like people who are her inspiration for covers, and she's like, this is what we mean when we're talking about this scene, shirtless chopping wood. And it's like,
so funny.
Thank you for blessing this earth.
Yeah, with your lumberjackness. I wonder what it's like though for them to like know that they were like the inspiration behind like this like smutty book. Like,
oh yeah, and she writes very steamy.
I will have
steamy romance. All right.
I am adding to cart. I'm putting it on my wish list right now.
Do you have any like unpopular opinions when it comes to like books or reading?
I don't know. I don't really think that they're like unpopular opinions. I think that, like I was saying earlier, like social media kind of makes it like if you don't do things a certain way, you're not a real reader, and I hate that because like I'm of the belief that like if you read one book, you're a reader. Like
Yeah.
So for me, that's probably like the closest thing I have to like a hot take. Um, it's just that
Gotcha.
sometimes social media takes it a little far, and I don't like the way that they like can shame people for not reading 100 books a month or whatever. Well, that's not even possible, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just,
I do agree, though. It is very much like a um, showboat kind of thing with social media.
yeah, I hate that aspect of it. But
Yeah.
other than that, I don't know. I don't really think I have anything. Like, nothing comes to mind. I probably do have like opinions, but I just can't think of any right now.
How do you feel about people like cracking spines?
Mm-mm. I don't like that. Like for me, I guess I can't get mad at other people for cracking the spines of the books that they own because it's your book. Like if I lent out a book and you crack the spine, I would probably like hate you forever. I'd be so mad. I'd be like, why? Or like I hate when people dog ear books instead of like just using a bookmark. Like just put a receipt or something in there. I don't, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. There are a lot of times I'll be reading and I'll like stick my phone in the page and I'm like, all right, I know that it's still open,
Yeah.
but at least I know if I set it down, I haven't lost my spot.
Right.
Which is so weird, but it's such a thing.
Yeah.
So, do you prefer this is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it is a thing, but do you have a preference of indie publishing versus traditional publishing?
Not really. I've come across some really really great indie authors, but I've also like I'm a big fan of like a lot of traditionally published ones, like Elsie Silver. She's my favorite author probably.
Yeah.
So like, but she wasn't always traditionally published either. So I don't know. I think that indie gets a bad rap. I think that people automatically like, oh, if you couldn't get it traditionally published, that means your book sucks, which hasn't been my experience.
No, I think a lot of I actually think that there are a lot of people who choose to not seek out traditional publishing because they have more control over their image.
Right. Plus, like, I don't think people realize like it's expensive to get like a publisher and stuff, and a lot of indie authors can't afford that like right away. That takes time. Like even some of these bigger names that have been independently published for years, like Penelope Douglas, for example. Penelope Douglas is just now getting traditionally published, and they have tons of really, really popular books because it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
Publicity comes at a cost that a lot of people just they can't afford it,
Not even that, but usually signing a contract comes with terms and conditions that they may not be wanting to or willing or able to meet.
Right.
Like
changing their whole story.
traditionally published typically have some sort of contract they have to fulfill, which means like a single book that was intended to be a standalone typically ends up being a series, or a series that was if it's a series that was intended to be 3, it ends up being 5 or something like
Right.
that. Like they typically end up wanting to push you to be more. And I've had someone tell me they signed the contract thinking they just that somebody only had to write 2 books, and it was 2 books of the same. Like they wanted a continuation to make it a duet, and the author who read that contract just thought it was 2 separate books, and that was not the case. So she wrote the continuation for the duet, and the person I was talking to, she was like, it wasn't as good, and you can tell her heart wasn't in it. And I was like, that makes me feel bad. Like maybe if she'd have gone indie, she probably would have been able to enjoy and actually just leave it at 1.
Yeah, indie publishing seems a lot more comfortable for a lot of like I know a lot of authors choose it, but then again, like there's an expense to that too. I don't know how people write books. I could never write a book because the cost alone, like, is just astronomical, and they don't make a lot of profit off of it either way. They really don't.
For sure. Like it takes you get into, I've had quite a different couple of them say, you get like 6 to 10 books in before you start really catching enough traction to make enough to support yourself and your household.
Right.
And just the thought of that alone, like, having to write, I know it's this, having to write like 10 books just to get enough traction to be able to make a monthly income that's not like pennies on the dollar for royalties.
Right.
Especially if you're a part of KDP, because if you choose to go KDP and not like wide, you end up not making anything on KU.
Right. Yeah. Unless you end up being one of those like lucky few who like your book blows up on like TikTok or something, it's not a very lucrative business, unfortunately.
No.
Which is why a lot of authors that like I've seen, I know, like they do it as like their like just like their hobby, their side hustle, because they know they're not going to make any money off of it. They still work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Because they have to.
Or if they finally do get to it, like they work up until they get to a point where they're like, I can no longer continue to work and write because I need to write in order to make it out, like to publish in a certain timeline. Or their spouses are like, okay, listen, you're making enough to cover like your side expenses, so just write full time. And
yeah,
props on them for having great spouses, though.
I couldn't.
I mean, mine pushes me to follow my dreams, but not everybody can be a librarian.
Yeah. Not everyone, has a husband that will like buy them books. Mine thinks I'm insane for how many books I have. So,
well, he can't say anything because he buys motorcycle parts. So,
yeah. See, they all have their things. I'm like, I don't judge you when you buy your gaming stuff. Okay, like,
period.
Let me live.
Because how much is that PC you want?
For real. How much was that game that you just downloaded?
How much was that?
Way more than one book.
Right. How much was that new headset? Or how much was that new keyboard? Or that special mouse to keep your hand from cramping?
Yep. Exactly.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, my silly little like $15 book is a problem.
Look, and mine
not really. It's not like it's a problem. He's just like, do you really need this many? And I'm like, it's not about need. Like,
at least it's not drugs.
Yes, it could all be drugs. Or like something way more expensive. Like I could have a worse hobby that could cost a lot more money. So
that could put me in danger.
Yeah. Yeah. You're lucky I just like to sit home and read. Like
I'll take being the reader over anything else, even if it makes me a granny, because I like to sit at home in my cardigans and leggings.
I don't even care. I'm comfy. It doesn't even bother me if people think that makes me lame. I am thriving over here.
Hi, my name is Natalie. I'm your lame friend who likes to read in cardigans and leggings. We're all besties now.
I have friends get so mad because I have literally canceled plans to finish a book. I don't tell them that's why I cancel until like days later, and I'll be like, I had to finish a book, and they're like, are you kidding?
But thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Yes, we managed through all of the things.
Yeah, this was kind of all over the place, but we had a time. I mean,
it usually is with me. I just go off on a tangent, or my guest goes off on a tangent, and it just happens.
I get a little ranty. It happens.